So there's a dirty little secret as to what happens to your books after they've been on the market for a long time. Well, I'm going to tell you that the passive income myth that you can just put your books on the market and they're going to keep on selling for 10, 20 years from now, that is a complete myth. So you're going to want to stick around and we're going to tell you exactly what you need to do. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. So let's get straight into it. The first thing you need to know is that your topics really matter. If you were to write a book on, let's say, fidget spinners back in 2017, you may have made a killing because you would see there's a huge spike in the amount of people looking for anything related to fidget spinners. But after that period of time, the market completely crashes. Nobody cares at all. And that's one of the reasons why you're going to want to write your books into evergreen topics, the niches that continue to sell year after year, where we can see a pattern already happening on books on this topic. If it's nonfiction, well, then it would maybe things like plant care or car care, these sorts of things, where there would be a demand. You'll also take a very close look at Google searches on that. Or in the fiction area, if you grab some really micro niche that's super hot and popular right now, you may find yourself making no sales when we go 6 months from now, and nobody cares about that topic anymore. So you need to be very careful and go into it with your eyes open. We do not write books just to write the book and then hope for the best. Rather, we write the books to a market where there's already an existing set of readers who are interested in the book that you're writing, and ideally a market that's been there for a while and increasing in the popularity within that market. And I can tell you, during the crisis that we've been through, I was a little bit surprised on some of my 200 plus books that I've written over the years and had other people ghostwrite for me, is that as I noticed inside of this crisis that we've recently been through, that certain books started to spike and other books started to go down. So for example, a book I have on travel, it started to decrease, but now it's going up. And other books that dealt with things about cozy living and organizing and improving your house and cookbooks and things like that, especially bread baking books, suddenly they started to spike in popularity. Now, why exactly is that? Well, that's because as things fade in and out, and whether people are more at home or more outside, whether at work or doing home office, their demands and their interests continue to change. And that means that if you have a wide variety of books on the market, in different markets, what gives you the ability to win no matter what happens in the world. You're going to have books that people are going to look forward to reading. That does violate a little bit of my theme, which is the point, which is by holding it consistent to one market and just keep writing books in that market. That is the winning strategy. But when it comes to trying to get sales in the long run without even touching these books, sometimes it pays to actually have books that are in different markets. Just make sure you're using a different pen name when you're doing that. You do not want to dirty a pen name by having crossword puzzles and then also you're doing books on medicine and then you have cookbooks. It just gets confusing, or computer programming. Nobody's going to assume you're an expert in anything. So you want to separate these books. Even if you happen to be really good at yoga and computer programming, do not use the same name on Amazon for both of these. You will decrease the sales on both of those books. If you imagine, the same thing would be true if you go to visit your doctor and the doctor's like, oh, just give me a sec. I have to walk the dogs for my dog walking business. And then after that, I'm teaching a few classes at school and then I can be back to help you with your medicine. And you would be like, you're going to do open heart surgery on me and you're spread out on your skill sets. How good of an open heart surgeon do you think your doctor's going to be if they're spending all of this time doing all of these other activities? And that's the reason why we do definitely want to hone in on a niche. Now, you can do multiple niches, just make sure you're using a different pen name for each of those niches. And in order to figure out whether or not the niche is a profitable one, we're going to use my favorite tool, which is KD Spy. You can check out my affiliate link below in the description. This is the tool that I personally like to use in order to see which keywords are driving a lot of traffic. And then by looking at older books inside of those keywords, I know for a fact whether or not I can expect to make money writing books inside of those exact markets. Another free way to do it is just to use Google Trends. Make sure it's set to the United States. Whenever I log in, it shows me in Norway, and I am not targeting the Norwegian market. I'm targeting the US, UK, Canada, and Australian markets. So I usually just choose the United States since it's the largest market of buyers than I have for all of my books. So what happens then is that I'm able to go onto Google Trends and type in a particular theme. Like I mentioned, fidget spinner, it shoots up in 2017 and then dies down. Whereas other themes, we continue to find them going up over time. And those are the sorts of topics that we definitely want to start putting our books into, because then, even though we're doing nothing with the books, they're going to continue to sell themselves. And as people give them 4 to 5 star review ratings, then it's going to continue to boost the sales that we're getting. And when you come out with new books in those same markets, the books are going to cross-reference each other and make sure they're referring to each other in terms of pointing at each other. And that's one of the reasons why formatting the books yourself is so important, because then in the backs of the books, you're going to say, here are my other books. But each time you come out with a new book in the same genre, well, then it needs to point to the other books in the series. But how are you going to do that without doing the formatting? And that's one of the reasons why I teach the book formatting made easy course to specifically go through those very steps. And in fact, with my favorite tool, Jutoh, I went through every bit of it, and I went through and updated 100% of the slides in this course to make sure it is as easy as possible to use for all of my new students who are jumping on board, and even the old students who want to go back and refresh their formatting skills, because it is that important to making sure that we're setting our books up not just to sell today or tomorrow, but to sell a year, 5 years from now. I'm still seeing books that I put out I think 7 years ago. The books continue to sell. It's unbelievable to see the amount of sales that come through these older books. Now, the third point I want to hit, it's that, well, what exactly is happening to these books? Well, I can tell you, you'll start to see the money going down. And that's the reason why, well, how are we going to deal with the decrease in sales on our older books? Because Amazon wants to push and pump the newest books, not these ancient books, unless it becomes a classic. In that case, what are you doing watching me? Now, I know if you're like a New York Times bestseller, I have tips for you. But in the grand scheme, if your book's already super popular, but even for them, you'll find them tend to go down, unless your book's like the Bible or something where it's always a high number of sales that are happening. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to point out here is that you need to come out with new books. In addition, if it's in the fiction category, the new books you come out with, they may be in a series, and so by the new books, it'll trigger people that if they get the first book, well, then they're going to trickle down and buy all of the other books in the series. So this is a really powerful technique. I can tell you it works on me too. I read the whole Ender's Game series, and I'm working my way through, I think I'm on my 15th book or something on the Dune series. It's exactly the thing. You can just keep writing books, and I'm just going to keep on buying them as long as I find the books entertaining and delivering at least a reasonable amount of similar value as the original books that got me into the specific series that you're looking at. And so, but it's sometimes trying to figure this out, and this is the most important thing you can do when you're first getting started, and that's one of the reasons I even sit down with people and do a 7-minute power session, which is something you can check out below. $7, you get 15 minutes in the power session where we just go through and take a look at your exact book, why it's not selling, or if you're looking at putting a book on the market, is this the right fit, the right market? What can you do to get things going for just $7? So that's another really powerful way of doing it. But my question for you today is, have you seen your sales go up or down once it's been a couple of years? Now, I know a lot of you have intentions of getting books on the market, and that's why I tell you should always hire a coach or somebody you can work with who can hold you accountable to getting your books out. But if you're not going to do that, choose somebody else. Then my question for you is, you need to get these books on the market. For those of you who do have your books on the market, are you seeing the sales going up or down after it's been, let's say, 2 years? I want to know below in the comments, because it will help me get a better idea where you're coming from and exactly the right steps. And if you are going up, what have you done to increase those sales? And check above me here for the next video. Thanks.